when someone's underperforming, you want to get to that root cause as soon as possible. And so if you find that there's something that you can address or that they should be able to address, you want to give them 1, 2, 3 chances perhaps, depending on what it is, to address those concerns. The key part is you're going through those 1, 2, or 3 chances is that you're recording progress, that you make it measurable, and that you're touching base with them often to figure out how they're progressing against those goals. And those goals should be tied into the success of that position and the success of the company, and they should understand that just as well as you do, and so that they can see that if they're not progressing according to that according to that necessary path, then there's going to have to be consequences, and those consequences can differ depending on what the issue is, but chances are that they may not be right for the role.
Because sometimes you have a great talented person, motivated, but they're not in the right role. So if you can find a different role, maybe there's a chance they can excel in that role. And I can give you an example of that. With salespeople, often they kind of fall into 2 categories. One being a great relationship manager, good at kind of what they call farming existing customers, or they're perhaps really aggressive, good hunters, good at going out and finding new business. And people can play a different role for a short period of time, but over the long term, they typically want to gravitate towards that role where they feel naturally competent. So if you had someone you were trying to, force them to get out and sell new business, and they didn't like doing cold calls and that, well, maybe you pull them back, and the company might be at a point where you can put them into more of a relationship management sales role.
Small companies are very fragile, and they're dependent upon a very small group of people who are passionate about where it's going. If you lose someone's passion, you could lose them and thus lose your business. In my experience, I use a more democratic approach as a CEO. I paid myself similarly to the other guys that I worked with, the other people that I worked with on my senior leadership team. I never pretended to have all the answers, and often if we had someone who was a dissenter or who wasn't pulling their weight, the team acknowledged it and the team got them back in line or helped them to understand why the majority thought this is where we should go. And you'll have no shortage of contentious issues as you grow this business. But once you get to a place where there is an impasse, I found it's best to let the group take over than to be heavy-handed, because that's like a last resort from my perspective. And you lose people if you're too autocratic.